Alright, hello everyone. So this video is to talk about how to prepare for the new Kashtira support, which I talked about in a previous video, and it's a small assumption. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a lot of branded support in 3 days by Monday, but Kashtira I'm assuming 2 because Pot of Extravagance is getting limited down to 2 instead of being 3, and that might be to kind of get all the other decks in line, and maybe Flaunderies, but I think it's a little bit hint towards Kashtira, which doesn't make much sense to me anyways, because if I was running Kashtira, and I had the full support, like when I was running the TCG, I would never run Pot of Extravagance because, at locals and stuff, the issue is with this is you're banishing 3 or 6 random face down cards, and in the TCG, Kashtira Rise Art is limited to just 1. So if you banish one Kashtira Rise Art, you can get him back with Kashtira Eothas and some other cards, but it's a little bit harder. So I don't think it's a good idea. I don't know if I would run it. Maybe I might try 2 just to see how it goes with getting Kashtira Eothas in my hand and stuff. But really, to get a Rise Art back, I'm either going to need that magic card, but I'm going to have to banish that magic card, or I'm going to need, to somehow get it in the graveyard and have sci-fi in my graveyard, in my graveyard as well. So what I want to propose is, the issues, that's going to be 2, and this is a part of Series, which is even better. You could run 3. I could run 3 at locals, and you can run 3 in TCG tournaments. This is the best card for Kashtira because you get to choose which 3 or 6 you want to banish. So if you're banishing 3 or 6 from your extra deck, what you're going to send is, if you're going to probably, send sci-fi, you're going to banish him, you're going to banish maybe the Gru, one of the fossil cards, depending on what your opponent's running, if you're worried about spell or trap cards, or if you just want, to destroy a card in the field. Same thing that Elder would do. So when those cards get banished, obviously they don't use their effects, but then a Rise Art can bring them back and put them underneath him, and then when you send the 3, whatever 3 you send, you get all 3 effects of, these cards, for example, and then you can bring them back with, whichever you choose with Frame Lord. You could bring back a Rise Art with it, or you got to Kashtira Eothas to bring back a Rise Art. Obviously, if Kashtira Rise Art is in the graveyard, you can bring him back with preparations, and you don't need any cards underneath him for his effects to work. So that's a way to bring him back. But so with Sci-Fi Frame Lord, you probably would use this to send back one of these other cards that has graveyard effects, or Zeus if you only have 1 Zeus and you need to send him back. That's another example. So the cards I propose that I think would be a good thing to try, that's going to work for Kashtira, since we, Extravagance isn't the best idea and Prosperity's only got 1, is, Nadir Servant's a really good startup. This is more of a Albaz and obviously Branded and Dogmatica deck, but the thing is, with this you get the choice to send any card to the graveyard, extra deck cards. So I'd probably either send Guru or I'd send a fossil card if I'm going second, and then I can get Maximus. With Maximus, I can then banish that card, which once it's banished, I can bring it back with the Rise Art, and then I can send 2 additional cards to my graveyard. So I'm probably going to want to get, Frame Lord in the graveyard right away, so I can shuffle back what I need for follow-up the next turn. and then maybe I would shuffle an Elder back, or something along those lines, depending on what I'm going through. And the thing with Dogmatica is you can then get follow-up with him your next turn if he's still in the field. If you would have like Psychic and Punish in the field, you Synchro Summon by using an Ash, which isn't as common. So that's an option. I'm going to try it out to see how I like it, but another option too is going to be using Ultimate Slayer, and this is more of a going second card. Obviously it's not going to help you for setting up a good board going first, but with Ultimate Slayer you can send one of these cards to the graveyard. That's going to give you a graveyard effect, and then also, and this card can't be negated, and then also you're going to be able to get to shuffle one of your opponent's cards back, as long as you send the right card. Fusion, Synchro, Exceeds, Pendulum, or Link, which you're not going to really have Pendulum cards in your extra deck, but you can send Link. as well. And there isn't really many Link monsters that are going to have effects, graveyard effects. But it could help for this, obviously, to kind of board break. So break your opponent's board. And so it's something I might try. I don't know if I'm going to try Ultimate Slayer right away, because I'm more or less worried about using my Ultimate Rare to craft to get to 3 Nadir Servants from my branded decks anyways. So I might try that first to see how that goes. But if not, obviously I could try you can try 2 Pot of Extravagance and 1 Prosperity. To see how that works. But this is always an option. But of course, the big thing is once you get the extra deck cards to your graveyard, you want to get the banish. So that's where, regardless, Dogmatica is going to come into use, because he's going to banish an extra deck monster, and once the extra deck monster is banished, you then will end up bringing attach them to you attach them to Rise. So worst case scenario, if you were really bad in that bad hand and you just have the Nadir Servant, you could then banish and get rid of Goliath, and then use Dogmatica Maximus to banish it. So that way you can make sure you can get Goliath underneath a Rise Art as soon as possible. Because that's the issue with only having 1 Prosperity. You really want to get Goliath underneath a Rise Art as soon as possible, and it's kind of hard to do that when you only have 1 Prosperity and 2 Extravagance, or if you, like I said, you even want to run Extravagance, because you might not have a way to get a Rise Heart back if you banish him by mistake, because it's choosing 3 or 6 random cards. So that's an option right there that I wanted to consider. The other thing I want people to consider too with Link Summoning is with a lot of Kashtira decks I've seen running it now in Master Duel, and the way I think that some people I even see run it in TCG and at locals I've seen, is when they're going into Tomahawk, they're going to end up Link Summoning. So if I'm going to Link monsters, they're going to do everything they can to get to their arrival. And everybody, I did a video on this recently where I just totally trashed the arrival with my Synchron deck with because you think he's gonna have 4,000 plus attack, and he's unaffected by cards, and he can destroy a card per turn. So people think he's basically unbeatable, and you can bring him out, and he's just this amazing card. And the thing is, I brought out Red Supernova Dragon, who can't be destroyed by card effects, and he had to have more attack, so I just attacked over him and destroyed him. So I think the better Link monster, rather than worrying about having, because the issue with bringing out the rival is you have to have 3+ monsters with different attributes. So you can't just go Galaxy Tomahawk and use all the tokens to go into the rival. You have to then Link summon into like Link Spider and IP Masquerade, and then use number 42 to go into him. But I think what the better option is going into IP Masquerade and use an IP and number 42 to go into Crusadia. I think Crusadia is a much better card than the rival, because even though he's not unaffected by everything, he still can't be targeted. If you use an IP Masquerade, he can't be destroyed by card effects. And then anything that attacks into him, he's going to gain that monster's attack. And if for some reason he is destroyed, you can shuffle 1 card, into the deck that's on the field, not targeting at all and not destroying. So it's going to evade a lot of protection. And why I think Crusadia is better than the rival is because when Crusadia is on the field, he's doing multiple things that the rival can't do. All right, so the rival, he's getting whatever attack he gets from what you use to Link summon him. That's the attack he gets and keeps it. Crusadia is going to gain the attack, so he's going to protect himself from just a stronger monster beating into him. Because if I have an 8,000 attack Red Supernova Dragon, so if I'm bringing out, this is how I beat the rival. So I beat the rival with the Red Supernova Dragon. With all the tuners on my hand, he had 8,000 attack, right? So I just attacked over him. But if you have Crusadia and I have 8,000 attack and I attack into him, he's going to have 8,000 plus the 3,000, so the 11,000 attack. The other thing I really like about Crusadia over the rival is he's also protecting the other monsters from attack. So if for some reason your opponent would summon a monster strong enough to attack over Kashtira Shanghai and you don't have any more materials attached to him, or you just don't want to waste a material, then Crusadia is going to protect him. So I think he's doing a lot more for the Kashtira deck than the rival. So the two things I said I'm going to recommend right now for anyone that's going to be getting ready for the new Kashtira support is try out Nadir Servant. Try out Nadir Servant, 2 or 3 of them with Dogmatic of Maximus. If you want to go in second deck, Ultimate Slayer, but you're probably going to need Dogmatic of Maximus anyways because you want to banish a card. And then obviously the support cards that you can use in the extra deck for it. It's going to be up to you, but there's so much stuff, the Fossil Warriors, the Elder, most likely Sci-Fi Flame Lord you want, so you can shuffle back, the cards that you need. But the other thing is for link summoning, if you're going to go the route of using Tomahawk instead of using the rival, I would really say, and the rival's going to have to use a lot more extra slots anyways, because you're going to need at least, a Link Spider or something else, because you need 3+ effect monsters. So I'm thinking with Mechlord Crusadia, you only need 2 Link monsters. Other than Goliath that you're using to protect the Riser. But you're only going to need IP Masquerade and Crusadia. So it's just, you're using IP Masquerade, Tomahawk, and one other token you have left to go into Crusadia. So a lot easier to summon, and I think a way better card. So again, think about all that. Let me know, in the comments, what do you guys think, and if you want to see on other videos talking about this.